in the next stitch, sorry. Okay, so I'm back onto video number 3. This is apparently. Goodness me, I've been going for an hour and 46 minutes. Are you still with me? So we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 double crochet and 1 treble crochet in the next stitch. So in the next stitch. So remember, this is US terms, so that's actually going to be, how does that make sense? That's what the pattern says, people. Yeah. Right, it's a half treble, so bear with me because I will have to go into a stitch that is the next stitch on. So treat that as a double, a treble and a half treble. So you're going to be introduced to a half treble today. So remember I said we yarn over and through 2? We're going to yarn over and through 3 and the half treble. So we do a single, a double and a treble. So this is going to be a double, a treble and a half treble in UK terms. So in the next stitch, which is this one here, we're going to do a double, single UK US. So yarn over, through the stitch, yarn over, through. In the pattern, that is our single. In the same stitch, we're going to do a treble. What have I forgotten to do, people? Yarn over first. So treble is yarn over, through, yarn over 2. So yarn over. Now here's where it gets tricky because you've got to find 2 on your hook with this yarn and this hook. So yarn over 2, yarn over 2. That was our on the pattern double. So we've done a single and a treble. Now the half treble, which is going to be this treble here, but in UK terms is a half treble, we're going to yarn over I've done that wrong. The half treble comes between. Scrap that, I'll cut that out. So we're here, we've done our single. We're going to do a half treble, which is the next height up between a single and a double, or double and treble. So a half treble, you yarn over, you're through, yarn over, come back. Now this is where the half bit comes in. Instead of making a double height by going through 2 and then 2 again, we're going to go through all 3. So yarn over and through all 3, because this petal is going to be building up height, and then we do our treble in the same stitch. Yarn over through, yarn over 2, yarn over 2. So we've made a little step, and that should all be in the same stitch. And then we're coming back down to make that other second half of the petal. So in our pattern, we're doing the same again but reverse, stepping back down in the next stitch. So we're going to do a treble, yarn over through, yarn over 2, yarn over through. So same height as the last one, coming back down now, same stitch. We'll do a half treble, or in this case a double. So through, yarn over through, and then we're going to go through all 3. Try and keep with me on this one. I know it's an introduction to another stitch that you haven't done before, so we're going through all 3. Still following? And then we go back in the same stitch to our basic single UK double. Okay, so you see that's made a pattern. So a nice hilly, rainbowy, steppy. So we've done single, double, treble, treble, double, single in US terms. In UK terms, that's going to have been a double, half treble, 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 half treble, double. You still with me? Because it confused me when I got to this point as well. Let's do that again. So, and then we've done that in the 2 stitches, and then we repeat that 5 times. So that should give us our 5 petals. So into the next stitch, we're doing UK double, US single, through, not yarning over first, straight into the stitch, through, yarn over 2, then we're doing our double slash half treble, so yarn over, through, yarn over, all 3, give it a little pull, give yourself a bit of space, give yourself a bit of space. I keep losing you. I'm gonna get a tripod. So that was our half treble slash double, then yarn over, through, yarn over 2, yarn over 2. That's 1/2 of our second petal, then back down again. So yarn over through, yarn over through, yarn over 2, yarn over through, same one. Realised I didn't go on to the next stitch, so we've done our 3. Right, so we've done our 3 at the beginning of the petal. Into the next stitch, we're going back down again. So yarn over, stitch, yarn over through, yarn over 2, yarn over through, down to our half treble slash double, yarn over into the same stitch, yarn over through, yarn over all 3. That's the half treble. And then normal single slash double. Okay, that's our second petal done. So next stitch, which is this one here. So start low, normal, not yarning over, yarn over through, yarn over 2, double slash half treble in the same stitch, yarn over, through, yarn over all 3, if I can. Now if you get a little bit of trouble, just kind of wiggle it through. There we go. Same stitch, yarn over, through, yarn over 2, this is our treble, caught a little bit there, yarn over, through, next stitch, back down we go, next stitch, yarn over, through, yarn over through, yarn over 2, yarn over 2, oh, lost it there, get it back, there we go, get some more yarn. So that's our first one in our second stitch, yarn over through, yarn over through, you had to pull it there. So this is the second one, so we're doing a half treble slash double, so yarn over through all 3, and then last one is no yarn over, through, yarn over 2. Petal number 3 done. Now I have done this pattern before with a slightly different pattern, so the petals aren't as obvious as I'm used to seeing them. So there are different patterns for this out there. but I couldn't find my other one, so I had to find this one online. So we have 2 petals left to make, so we should have 4 stitches left to use. 1, 2, 3, 4, which we do. Perfect. So next stitch, we're going back up again. So through, yarn over, 2, half treble, yarn over, through, yarn over, get there in the end, pull up a bit, through all 3. That was our treble, yarn over, through, pull up a bit, yarn over 2, yarn over 2. So this is quite a good one because it gets you to practice 3 different heights and going back down of stitches. So that was 3 in the same stitch. You're going on to the next stitch and back down again. So yarn over, through, yarn over, back, yarn over, back down. So we're doing yarn over 2, yarn over 2 for the treble. Then we're doing the half treble, so yarn over, through, yarn over, bring it through. See what I mean by I'm catching with this hook every time. And then through all 3, because it's a half treble. So remember the half treble is between the double and the treble. And then the standard double. I'm just drifting back into US terms now because it makes more sense. Sorry, English terms. Get back to me. And we got 1 left. That's last but 1 petal done, and then we've got 2 stitches left. You see those 2 stitches left to work in there. So last 1, through, yarn over, you can see why I like using the other hooks a little bit better. There we go. Yarn over, through, same stitch, yarn over, in. This is the half treble, so we're going to go through all 3, then yarn over, through, yarn over, through, yarn over 2, give a little wiggle, yarn over 2. Last stretch, people. Yarn over, next stitch. Find it. Yarn over, through, that's a treble. Half treble, yarn over, through, yarn over, through, yarn over all 3. Last one is a standard double. Yarn over, through, yarn over, through. Now, if we were to just leave that as it is, you'd end up with a little gap there. So, to finish that off, I believe, slip stitch into first chain. So that's what we need to do. So our first chain is where this first stitch started here. So remember what slip stitch is. We go into that stitch, trying to find the bottom of it. might be a bit tricky. If you find it a bit tricky, just have a little poke about to get back into there. There we go. So a slip stitch, you're not yarning over, you're just going straight in. So yarn over, give it a little wiggle. Seem to have pulled through more than I needed to there. So yarn over, you've pulled the yarn through, and you're just going to slip it back through that first rest of your stitch. Pull it through, leave yourself a tail. Cut yourself off, and there you have a little flower. So you can literally just use your hook, go through the loop and pull that through and pull it tight. Now you'll then use your amazing sewing skills. You've got 5 points. You'll use your amazing sewing skills to get a darning needle. Now I bought these curved needles. I will show you. These were about a £5 on Amazon, and they were perfect for my amigurumi. Remember, amigurumi was the teddies, and they've got a bent tip, and they are perfect for crochet because you thread your needle and then you can just literally weave your ends in. So you get your end, thread your needle, get your end, and pick which side is going to be your front, which is that side. Turn it over and just weave your ends in, which just basically means hide your yarn. So I'm going in between the stitches here. So you go through about 3 or 4 and just pull it through. Obviously use the same colour, go through the same colour stitches as the yarn you're using. And then you can just go back on yourself, maybe a bit closer to the middle, back on yourself 2 or 3 times. Obviously going in a different place, otherwise you'll end up undoing what you just did. Like so, and you can't see it. So you just then snip that bit off and then do the same with these 2 ends. Now if you've been a numpty and left your end too short to go through your needle, then the long-winded way is just to get your hook through a stitch, pick up your odd end, and then just pull it through what you've just gone under. It's a bit more faffy, but it is possible. So do that a few times through various stitches, and that is another way of doing it, but it is more faff. And then do the same with your red ones, and there you go, there is your flower. Now I did say about a magic circle, which will eliminate the need for this hole. It will get rid of it. So get rid of that, get rid of my needles. This is the last thing we're going to be doing tonight. The magic circle. I've left the best for last, the pièce de résistance. Once you master this, you're going to be amazing. Excuse me while I have a quick drink because I'm going to need it. Right, magic circle. Where's the end of my yarn? There's the end of my yarn. Right. Sort yourself out, love. Right. This is the trickiest part you'll probably ever have to do. So I'm going to use a bigger hook. We are going to do a mystical, magical, twisty doodad of... Bugger that off. Of a magical thing. Right, pay attention very closely. You're going to end up with the yarn, end of the yarn across your hand. You're going to go across like that and hold it so that the back is 2 lines and you have a cross there. Let's make that a little bit wider. This is a tricky bit once you can master this. Now I did think a normal like twisty slip knot. I'm going to show you a couple of ways of doing this. So we're going to start from the right. We're going to go underneath this right hand bit. We're going to hook over that bit. We're going to come through, okay, with there. We're going to go 9 o'clock. So we're through. We're going to go 9 o'clock up to 12 o'clock, turn over, and we're going to hook on this left hand strand and then pull through. Okay, and in theory you should have a loop. Okay, now it will be twisted, don't worry about that, you don't have to worry. Okay, you need that loop. Okay, so we're going to do that one more time. So end of your yarn to the bottom, round 3 fingers, make a cross, tuck it under your finger. Okay, under the right, over the left, and point down. Bring to the top, go to 9 o'clock, up to 12, turn over, hook left, hook through. If you get tricky, just keep hold of it. There we go. And you should end up with a loop. Now, this is the loop you are going to do. Now, what you want to do is make sure that your working is at the back. Let's have a play with that. So, what I usually do is make sure that this twisted bit is at the top. Okay, that is my loop. Now if you pull it, it will get smaller. Don't pull it just yet. So that pattern called for 10 single crochet to start with. So what we're going to do, we don't need a loop that big, so we're going to pull that through a little bit more. So we're going to do 10 single crochet into this loop. It doesn't matter how spaced out they are because they will close up with a pull of this yarn. That's what's magic about it. But it can be tricky to work into. So the trick is not to pull this yarn until you are ready to. So we're going to do 10 double crochet in UK terms, which is no yarn over at the beginning. Now what I do is I usually make a loop here, and that is what I go into. So through, yarn over, bring it back, yarn over, 2. That's 1. 9 more to go. Through, yarn over, back through, yarn over, 2. So we have 2 stitches there. You can see your chevrons. This is number 3. Now I'm going really loose with this, making my loops nice and loose. I'm just holding on to this and using the tension of everything else to hold it all into place. Through the loop, yarn over, bring it back through. Now you'll notice you'll start to get a bit loose, so you can hold on to your stitches now. You've got something to hold on to. So to make your life a little bit easier, what I do is just try and keep a loop with the bottom of my stitches so I know where I'm going and it's all not getting lost and tense. So yarn over, through, yarn over, through, yarn over, through. This is going to have to be the last video because my battery's going. Let me plug myself in. I'm plugged. Let's reset myself. There we go. Right, we're back. Back in action, peeps. There we go. Don't move. Right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4 more to go. Back to where we were. So tidy yourself up. Tidy yourself up, woman. So through. Bring it through. Yarn over 2, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we should have 10 if I can count. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can count. So the trick with this magic circle is to keep your stitches in line. Make that bigger so we don't lose it. Now the way I do that is I make a horseshoe. What that does is, you see how these stitches are all kind of curving inwards. You want to kind of try and keep them to the outside because they are what is going to make the foundation of your circle. So just give them a little twist, make a horseshoe, and you're going to pull the end of your yarn until the excess is gone, just like that. So you've got your horseshoe. If you let go of it, it stays there. You don't want to tighten it up much more than this. You can get away with a little bit, but if you tighten it up too much at this point, you will find it hard to find that first stitch and start. So you should be able to see this first stitch here is your first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you want to be going in, this first stitch is your first stitch. So what is a good idea at the moment when you're working on a round is get your stitch marker and put it in your 10th stitch so that you know when you're back at the beginning. When you're doing the octopuses, if you decide to follow that path, join Octopus for a preemie. They will join, they will put you in a group and they do wonderful crochet alongs, and most of their work is done on a round and will need this technique. When you master this technique, you'll be able to make octopuses coming out your ears and jellyfish, like this little guy, which I think is so cute. Look at him. Hello. So these are done with this magic circle. So the idea is that when you get to about here, you will pull on the string and it will tighten that up. So you don't want to tighten it up too soon, because otherwise you won't be able to get into this stitch, this first one. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on a round for a bit. We're going to go off the beaten path, but at this point is when you'd slip stitch. If you were following the flower pattern, you'd slip stitch into that first stitch and start with your blue like I did before. Then once you've done your blue, you will then pull on this string and finish that off. But just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to carry on this round and show what that centre does when you've done a few rounds. So again, it's already tricky, but just pull it about a bit. I am using quite a big hook for this yarn because I wanted to make it easy for you people. You lovely, lovely people who have been so patient with me today. So we're still doing normal rounds. We're actually going on a spiral. We didn't slip a stitch into that. We're just going to carry on a spiral because it's fun. We like doing that. So I'm doing normal double crochet UK terms, single crochet American terms. Did get that right, didn't I? It does get very confusing. Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 rounds, and then we should have plenty of space to carry on as normal. So this is why I put a stitch marker here, because when you've got a pattern that does increases, you'll need to figure out where your increases were and where the beginning of your round is, because if that wasn't there, I would find it very difficult to figure out where I was and where the beginning of the row is. When you're following a pattern, it still works in rows even when you're working on a round. So if I had some increases in there, how would I then know that that is the front, that is the start of my next row? So one way of doing that is counting back from your stitch marker. So you would count back how many stitches you have, and if the end of the row says you want 12 stitches, I know somewhere along this line I should have increased twice to get 12 stitches. So I would then count back the stitches to see where I was supposed to increase or decrease, if that's what the pattern says, and you've always got that point of reference to go back to. So if you do lose track, you can literally just take your hook out and frog back to your stitch marker. Obviously not pulling too far, because if I pulled one more, that would pull the stitch marker out. So that's why we use stitch markers, especially on the round. So don't forget that the stitch isn't what's on your hook, the stitch is the one behind. So that's the last stitch of the last round. So let's carry on. There is nothing wrong with using whatever part of your body to get that hook through. I've been known to put stitch markers in my mouth while I wait to use them. But this hobby has been wonderful when I've got time to do it. So in these terrifying times where we are all staying at home, it's good to start doing something. So I can tell I've gone through that one already. So if you use your stitch marker, you've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 10 there. So I know that that is the first stitch I need to go back into. So do one more round, take that stitch marker out there because that's the first stitch in my next round, and put it in the last stitch of what you've just done, and that tells you that that's where you need to finish next. Wonderful things. Again, if you haven't got stitch markers, use an odd bit of yarn and pull it through that gap. So last round. If you have any questions in the meantime, do ask, and I will see if I can do a quick demonstration of what you need to